Hey everybody, it's Jamie from No Getting Off This Train. In this video, come see how I made a Thanksgiving dinner for my family of 3 for a little over $20. Last year, I made a frugal Thanksgiving dinner for my family of 3 using Dollar Tree ingredients. And I will link that down below for you. It is still like one of my most popular videos, especially here during the holidays. I only spent like $13 or $14 and I was able to make a fairly good dinner. I wanted to do something similar this year, but I didn't want to do Dollar Tree again. So I polled you guys on YouTube and I said, where do you want me to shop for my Thanksgiving and my Christmas dinners or whatever? And the majority of you said Aldi. So I said, okay, I'm going to go to my local Aldi and do a Thanksgiving dinner using only ingredients from that store. Now, altogether, I spent $21.83. The problem that I had was that when I went to Aldi twice, mind you, they were out of cranberry sauce. So I did have to buy it from Kroger, but you know, I still think it kind of counts because they do sell cranberry sauce at Aldi. And that total does not include things like eggs, oil, milk, any spices that you might use. I had that stuff already at home, so if you don't, you may have to add a little bit more to that. Now, I would say that this particular dinner will feed 4-ish people, possibly 5, depending on the amount of side items that you make. This very comfortably fed the 3 of us, and we still had a lot for leftovers. Now remember, this is a small family Thanksgiving, so I didn't want to make a ton of food. What I could have done, and I saw this at Aldi, was buy just like a frozen turkey breast, because those are much smaller than a whole turkey, and it wouldn't leave you with a ton of leftovers. But I looked at the price, and the price of the turkey breast was like $8, and I paid like $13-ish dollars, I think, for the whole turkey. So if you want to save $5 and not have any extra meat, you could go ahead and buy the turkey breast. But since I knew I wanted lots of leftovers to make different recipes throughout the week, I went ahead and bought the whole turkey. And unfortunately, the price at Aldi for their whole turkey is not as good as other stores. So I paid 87 cents a pound for this turkey, but stores like Meijer and Kroger in my area are selling their turkeys for 33 cents a pound. So Aldi might not be the cheapest for turkey because some of the other grocery stores have really good sales on that. But if Aldi is the only store you can shop at, then it is not a bad deal. Now, this is also a semi-traditional Thanksgiving dinner. I didn't make any stuffing. I did a couple of different things like roasting some butternut squash, and I made mac and cheese. I don't know how traditional those are in your family, but I figured it's still kind of a fall theme and it would work. And for those of you who watched my Dollar Tree Thanksgiving, yes, I bought cranberry sauce this time. You have no idea how many people got offended because I did not have cranberry sauce with my turkey dinner. Anyway, let's go to Aldi real quick. I will show you all the ingredients I got and then we'll get to cooking dinner. Now, as far as vegetables go, I wanted something that was fall-like, but not, green bean casserole, a typical Thanksgiving dish. So I grabbed some butternut squash. This time of year, they're like 99 cents a pound and so good. It actually makes a ton of food. I was going to roast that for dinner. I wanted a pumpkin dessert that was not pumpkin pie. So my idea was to take some yellow cake mix and some pumpkin and do some stuff with it. I also bought some cornbread muffin mix. I usually have dinner rolls, but cornbread sounded really good. I'm grabbing the pumpkin for my dessert as well. I've seen these recipes where you add like cake mix and then pumpkin and a couple other things and make like a cake out of it, and that's what I wanted to try. I also wanted to make some macaroni and cheese, and this is a 2-pound box, and I only planned on using a little bit of it. Now here is where most of the cost was the turkey. 87 cents a pound for a turkey. I tried to look for the smallest one I could, and it was almost 13-ish pounds. Then I grabbed cheese for the macaroni and cheese. I had all the other stuff at home, like milk and everything, so it doesn't look like a whole lot, but this is my Thanksgiving dinner. Let's get into cooking. Alright, this right here is probably the hardest part of the dinner is this turkey. I don't know about you guys, but I feel like every time I make a turkey for Thanksgiving or whatever, we never let it thaw as long as we need it to. So it's always like partially frozen. This time, hopefully, it is not like that. So let's see. I've never bought a butterball turkey before, by the way, so I'm just kind of looking at the instructions. To open bag, insert one finger from each hand in holes. With even force, pull one hole to the right, the other hole to the left until the bag starts opening. Well, that's interesting. All right, let's see what happens here. I don't think that was supposed to happen. Oh! Okay, I get it now. I was pulling in the wrong direction. Okay. Anyway, I don't typically like doing the turkey just because it's so messy at the very beginning. But this bag actually made it a whole lot easier. I've never actually had a bag like that before. Typically, the turkey I buy is from Meijer, and Meijer doesn't have that. Okay, so far, it looks like it is completely thawed. That is good. Now I know there's some stuff inside that I need to take out. That's always the fun part, especially when I forget to thaw it completely, because then it's like reaching into ice to pull out the bags of stuff. And like, I took off all of the accessories for this. I'm not wearing my rings, I'm not wearing my Fitbit. This stuff gets so messy. I will definitely be like sanitizing this entire area when I am finished. Okay, so if I remember correctly, there should be 2 things I am taking out here. And by the way, I didn't mention this, but I've got my roaster. I use a roaster for my turkey, and I have it preheating to 400 degrees. And then I'll put the turkey in for 30 minutes, and then we'll lower the temperature and then let it cook like that the rest of the way. Alright, it's still pretty cold in the middle here, but at least I was able to get that stuff out with no issues. And then, if I remember correctly, there's another bag of stuff somewhere over here. Alright, I did it. Okay, well, let me go really wash up, and then I will get this turkey ready. What I do after this, take some olive oil, put it in a bowl, and then I just honestly brush the oil onto the turkey just like this, pretty much all around the outside. And then I sprinkle it with salt and pepper. You can use whatever seasonings you want. I know some call for poultry seasoning. I don't think I have any of that here. So I'm just gonna use some plain salt and pepper, and that usually works out okay. Alright, you ready for this? This is the part that I typically dread doing. It's just so hot. Okay, hold on a second, let me see. Alright, now let's try transferring this sucker into the roaster. And we did it! Yes! Okay, so here's what my roaster looks like. I have it set at 400 right now. I'm letting the turkey cook at 400 for about 30 minutes just to kind of give it a crispier outside. After 30 minutes, I'm gonna turn it down to 350. I'm gonna cook it for another 2.5 hours or something. This was almost a 13-pound turkey, and you are, I think, supposed to cook it or eat 13 minutes per pound. So it's about 3-ish hours, but mine typically finishes earlier. So we're gonna check back in about 2 hours and see how that's going. But while that is going, let us start on the cake. Here's what we've got going on for our dessert. I'm making a pumpkin cake, and it's very, very simple. It involves mostly a cake mix, so I chose a yellow cake mix, the entire can of pumpkin, and then eggs. I'm using applesauce instead of oil, and then some pumpkin pie spice, all mixed together. Gonna bake that in the oven. I've got some frosting I'm gonna put on top, so let's do this. You know what's funny is that this is a small family Thanksgiving, but I am not making a small family dessert. We love our desserts here. And plus, cake is easily frozen. So I think it makes like 16 pieces, which is insane. So I'll be able to definitely freeze a lot of this for later. And I wanted to do something different besides like pumpkin pie. That's typically what I make when I host Thanksgiving. Some sort of a pumpkin pie, but wanted to try something different. I'm still a huge pumpkin fan, so I had to include the pumpkin in there. But I think this would be a nice change. One of the reasons why I'm using applesauce here instead of oil is to help to lower the amount of calories and fat in this. And I know that sounds weird, like, I mean, Jamie, this is dessert first of all, and this is Thanksgiving, like you need to kind of indulge sometimes, right? And I do agree with you wholeheartedly. I'm just trying to cut corners where I can, and sometimes it just means adding applesauce instead of olive oil. We're definitely getting our fat from the macaroni and cheese, so it's not a huge deal. The oven is now preheated to 350, so we can go ahead and get this cake in. Thankfully, a lot of the hard stuff is already finished. I mean, I've got the turkey in, the cake is now finished and ready to be baked. There is one more thing that I want to do to prepare before it is dinner time, and that is cube the butternut squash, because that takes a while. And I want to save myself a little bit of time and stress because I feel like I'm going to be doing a lot of things at once dinner time hits. So let me get this sucker in and then we'll work on that squash. I will show you what I do to cut the butternut squash effectively and easily. Here is my large and lovely butternut squash. Now I just ran it under water. I brushed off all the dirt on it. Now these guys, it is so much cheaper to buy a whole squash like this and chop it up yourself than it is to buy like bags of frozen cubed ones. However, it just takes a while to cut it yourself. This is the easiest way that I have found. So first, after you've cleaned it, I poke it all around with a fork. And I want to get it slightly soft, just, soft enough that I can cut through it fairly easily. So I've got that. I'm going to put it in the microwave. So I'm going to set it on a plate here, and I only microwave it for maybe a minute, but it's just enough to get it soft enough to be able to cut it. All right, here we go. So it's warm. I can tell it's not completely hot, but it is warm. So now I will take one of my large knives and I'm going to just slice off both ends. This seems to be the easiest way to start out for me. So I'll do both the top and the bottom, just like that. And now I will take it and I will cut it in half from the top to the bottom, just like this, and that will open up all of the seeds that you can then pull out, and you can either save them and roast them or whatever you like to do with your seeds. But there's that. So I got the plate over here. I have a spoon, and I just take my spoon and kind of go around just like that, scooping out all of the seeds, or the best I can anyway, and then just put them right there. There we go. And now from here I can start peeling both halves of it, and that just makes it a whole lot easier for me, I guess, to do everything in this order. Might be different for you. If you have your own favorite way of peeling and chopping a butternut squash, please leave a comment and let me know. I don't know if it's just me, maybe my skin is just weird, but if I don't wear gloves while doing this, like I'm not wearing any right now because we don't have any, my skin gets really, really dry. And it happens with butternut squash. I don't know if it happens with anything else. I think maybe even cantaloupe. I don't know what it is. I have eczema though, and like chronically dry skin. So I don't know if that has anything to do with it. But what I do know is that I'll be using lots of lotion after I am done cooking. And then now we get to cut it into cubes. So the way I like to do it is just going from top to bottom, just like that. And then I'll take a couple of these at a time and then cube them into smaller pieces. I love butternut squash, by the way. I kind of feel like it has kind of a similar taste and consistency of sweet potatoes. So I make them the same way. I will like roast them in the oven. I'll add certain seasonings to them. Sometimes I will use like maple syrup or honey to make them kind of a sweeter side dish. Or I'll just use like regular salt and pepper, maybe even some cayenne pepper. This is about the size that I will make them. And I'm just gonna put these in a container for later. This is gonna save me at least, I don't know, 10 or 15 minutes or so when it comes time to making dinner. There we go. This is gonna save me so much time during dinner. So we got that finished. The roaster, I just turned it down to 350 because it's been a half hour. I'm gonna check it here after maybe 2-ish hours to see how it's doing. I smell the pumpkin. It is smelling amazing, seriously. I'm gonna check to make sure it's done. Oh yes, that is perfect. Now obviously we can't ice it right away. I need to wait a couple of hours for that, but it should be cooled off right before dinner time. It's been a total of 2.5 hours, so let's lift this and see whether it is done. Now I try not to open the lid at all while it's cooking, just because I don't want any of the heat to escape. However, it's about done, and I didn't see one of those little buttons or anything. Like, you know, some turkeys have the buttons that pop up when it's done. I'm looking for a temperature of 165, and it has totally surpassed that at over 200. So I'm going to say it's done. Now, as you can see, I didn't actually mention this, but I didn't add any water to the roaster because the turkey creates its own juices. So now I'm going to turn this off, put the lid back on. I'm going to let it sit for a little bit, and when it comes time for dinner, I'll pull it back out and start carving. And now we actually get to cook the dinner. So I have all the butternut squash that I chopped up earlier. What I'm going to do is put some olive oil and salt and pepper on it, and we're going to roast it in the oven. And we're actually simultaneously going to roast the butternut squash and bake some cornbread muffins at the same time. I love butternut squash, first of all, because it is pretty much always super cheap in the fall and winter months. Secondly, it's delicious. I think I said this already, but it kind of has the taste and consistency of sweet potatoes, and I love sweet potatoes. It has fewer calories and carbs than sweet potatoes if you're worried about that sort of thing. But this is a somewhat pleasant change from like the typical green bean casserole, that sort of thing. Nothing wrong with that. I just wanted something different. So now we'll stick all of that on here. Wait for the oven to preheat. And while that's going, I'm just gonna go ahead and use the same bowl here for the cornbread muffins. Using this is actually much easier right now than making my own cornbread, mostly because from what I have seen, Aldi, at least my store, does not have cornmeal. And I was out of cornmeal, so I couldn't exactly make my own, but thankfully Aldi came to the rescue with this. From what I understand, cornbread can be somewhat of a typical Thanksgiving side item. I actually make a cornbread stuffing usually for our Thanksgiving dinner, and if I find the recipe, I'll make sure to link it down below. But yeah, that cornbread stuffing, by the way, that I make, it serves a ton. So if you're looking for a large family recipe, like that cornbread stuffing is it. And this box of cornbread mix makes 6 muffins, which is perfect for a smaller family meal. Okay, perfect. Now the oven's not preheated yet. I'll do the butternut squash first because this will probably take 25 to 30 minutes. These only take about 15. So let me set these aside. We need to get the macaroni and cheese ready. All right, there's a couple of things that we're gonna be doing at once here. Making the macaroni and cheese, and I'm gonna try to carve some of the turkey while I'm at it. Now this recipe I'm using for the macaroni and cheese, I'm only using half of the recipe because we don't need like a pound of macaroni to feed like the 2 or 3 of us. So instead of like a whole pound, I'm going to cook like 2 cups of macaroni, and I halved all the ingredients in here as well. So it's basically just boil the macaroni, make the cheese sauce right here, and then you've got your mac and cheese. So honestly, I could have used a plain old box of macaroni and cheese. I could have. This is actually a little bit more fun, being able to make my own cheese sauce and boil my own noodles, that sort of thing. I mean, you can honestly do whatever you want. I thought this would be a little more fun. Okay, so now I think I just have to, I gotta stir it in a little bit like that, one at a time. That's typically how you do it, right? I'm using whole wheat flour because I don't have any all-purpose, and I think it'll be okay. And here comes the fun part, trying to do all of this while putting in the macaroni as soon as the water starts boiling, which is right now. Then I gotta do the turkey. This is where Thanksgiving starts to get a little bit hectic. Now this is a 2-pound box of macaroni. We are only going to use 2 cups of it, like I said. So let's pour that in there. We'll turn it down, we'll let it boil a little bit, and then that should be done. And now we'll bring it over. I'm gonna let this sit and rest for a minute. Looks like the macaroni and cheese is just about done. I need to make the cheese sauce. Oh my goodness, look how creamy this mac and cheese is. We don't eat mac and cheese very often, but when we do, it needs to be cheesy just like this. Alright, so listen, I am not an expert when it comes to carving a turkey, and I will come back later and like cut off the rest of it. Make sure you get all the meat off of here. But for now, I just need to get kind of the basics off of here. Let me grab a fork. Right now I just need just enough to give us dinner, and then I'll come back and carve the rest. But yeah, this turkey was done in about 2.5 hours, I think. I put it in around 1, and then I checked it again around 3:30, and it was at like 200 degrees. So just, you know, make sure you check. I would check it at the soonest amount of time possible. So if it says to bake your turkey or cook it for 3 to 3.5 hours, check it closer to the 3-hour mark. And then if it's done, then you can let it sit for a while, and then that's good. Oh my goodness, these are looking amazing. All right, we have everything done. Let's take a look at it real quick. So we have our cornbread, we have the butternut squash, we have some mac and cheese, which I've already started to dish out. And okay, pretend this is Aldi brand cranberry sauce. I went 2 different times and they didn't have any, so I had to get some from Kroger. Now Aldi does carry cranberry sauce, so I'm considering this still part of it. So there's that. And then over here I have the turkey, which I have went ahead and carved some of it. So let's get it all together and see what it looks like. Okay, this looks pretty much amazing. This is, like I said, a small family Thanksgiving dinner. So yes, there is not a ton on this plate. However, it is just enough to, you know, get us through a small family dinner and enough for some leftovers for a few days too. Leave me a comment and tell me, what is your favorite Thanksgiving dish? Honestly, mine is stuffing because I'm a huge fan of carbs. And the boxed stuffing, totally good. I like my cornbread stuffing that I typically make as well, but there's nothing simpler and just, I don't know, more delicious than buying that box of stuffing. I also have a blog post that I'm going to link below that has a lot of tips on eating on a budget for Thanksgiving. So if you need some extra help with that, make sure you read those tips. In the meantime, if you have not subscribed yet, go ahead and do so right now and like this video and ring that bell. That way you'll be notified when other videos like this come out, as well as my other grocery hauls, recipes, and meal planning tips. Thank you all so much for watching. I will see you later. Did you know I offer one-on-one nutrition coaching? Whether your goal is to lose weight, eat healthier, or just want to know how to get started, I can help. You can schedule a free weight loss discovery call by using the link in the description. Thanks for watching, and I can't wait to chat with you.